Alright, so when injecting your turkey, you take your mixture of what we had earlier, the Hooters Hot Wing Sauce, and the Tony Chachere's Creole butter. You take your handy needle there, your food needle. I always do about an ounce at a time, and what is recommended is that you would inject each one of the breasts, both sides, straight in and then also at various angles. So what we do is we go ahead and inject in, and this is not an exact science. Sometimes you'll find that maybe you've pushed your needle in and you have some juices squirting out of the sides. You know, sometimes they'll come out of this little hole here where the pop-up thermometer was. You just want to make sure that you're moving your needle around, not jabbing multiple holes in your turkey. You'll see some comes out here and there, which is fine. It's for the most part still in. I try to be as symmetrical as possible. Again, just putting in various injections, not doing too many holes, just doing one hole, but moving the injection around. That way I am kind of separating some of those muscles in there and making sure that we are filling up as much of the area of meat that we want. And being that the breasts are very big in many of these turkeys, I always do 2 ounces in the breast region. Again, same way, not making too many holes, but really just maneuvering the needle around and filling many of these holes. And if any, again, comes out, it's completely fine. Sometimes you'll find it'll come out of the holes that you previously injected. All you have to do is, or all I like to do is simply just go ahead and kind of just rub that onto the skin, make sure it stays there, because if it can dry on the turkey, then it just helps in creating some extra flavor on the skin once you do actually fry it. So this has to sit for 24 hours is what my typical amount of time that I've always recommended. And then we will rub the outside of it again, as I mentioned before, for the skin to have a certain flavor. We rub the outside with Creole mustard or any kind of mustard. You could use regular plain French's mustard. You could try unique mustards, maybe some that have chipotle in them or something. With the legs, I do make multiple injection points just because, and I like to rub it around a little bit to flatten some of these bubbles out, just because the legs don't really provide you a tremendous amount of meat. So I usually put 1 ounce or so in the leg. In a minute, I'll flip it over and start to do the underside of the turkey. A lot of times I will also just start to kind of find spots where I think I might have not put enough injection to add a little bit more injection to the bird. Tomorrow, again, when we start to fry this, we will do it at 350 degrees. Is what the temperature was when I was originally taught how to do this by a friend of mine who had done turkeys many times. So we shared an afternoon where he had to fry a turkey, and I went and watched and took notes and drank a few beers. But 350 degrees, 3.5 minutes per pound. This is approximately a 15-pound turkey. It's maybe a little bit over, but 15, and I'm pretty exact, so I may do 15.15 times 3.5. I'll take that amount of time, and that will be the time that I dedicate to frying this. And a little bit coming out there, but again, we always have a little bit of extra that we put in here. What I was saying before is that we have to do it for 3.5 minutes per pound, 15-pound turkey, so you can do the math there. A lot of what comes into frying a turkey and frying a turkey well is to not only make sure your temperature is right, again, the 350 for 3.5 minutes per pound, but also making sure that you monitor your temperature. You don't want it too high and burn the outside of the skin. You don't want it too low where your bird doesn't cook fully all the way through. A lot of that just comes with sitting by the fryer and regulating temperature. The fryer that I have is one that I've used for a long time, and it has a valve on it and a timer. The timer kind of gets in the way. The wing areas are not my favorite to inject, but anyway. But the timer does get in the way because it will, if you're not paying attention, shut off. So therefore you're left with something that's not frying. So I constantly just turn the dial. It's set for 15 minutes, I guess, just to be safe, to make sure that someone's always there monitoring it. And if anyone is not, then the machine will shut off itself. But you'll notice as soon as you put the bird in that your temperature will decrease drastically. And that, again, just comes from the fact that you're putting a cold item into a very hot vat of oil. So therefore the effect of the cold item, the turkey that's been in the refrigerator for 24 hours, is going to have an effect on the temperature of the oil, or at least the reading. One of the things I've been meaning to do is to purchase a infrared thermometer. That way I could get a more accurate reading of what the oil temperature is. Currently I'm just using a dial thermometer. You can see I'm kind of poking this bird all in the back just because it's not easy to find the bits of meat. So with the thighs, you want to kind of just poke around until you find a good pocket of meat. We're getting down to the bottom of the sauce here. So with this, I like to just kind of find places that I may have missed. Go back in there, just hit them a little bit more. Again, being that the breast is your biggest area, trying to find maybe those injection holes where you were already and to put a little bit more in there. And again, we're coming down to the end here of this. So sometimes I'll just take the leftovers, dump it on, and rub it on the inside. It really doesn't matter. I almost want to say this is kind of foolproof. But from here, again, we have the turkey fully injected. What we'll do is we'll wrap it with some saran wrap it with aluminum foil, shove it in the fridge, and around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, the fryer will be raring to go. We'll put the bird in because it's going to take about 52 minutes or so. But we'll go ahead and put the bird in 350 degrees for 3.5 minutes, and we will be done after that. And again, before we put it in the fryer, we'll coat it with mustard, gives it a nice crispy edge on it, and allow it to really have a good flavor in the end. So whenever you're frying your turkey, you're going to use a couple simple things. This is a turkey fryer, typical run-of-the-mill turkey fryer that you can get at many places, Lowe's. You can order them online, things like that. It comes with a base, the pot. This one has, as I mentioned before, a timer, which just has a dial. That way it doesn't allow you to walk away for an extended period of time before it shuts off. So it does make sure you're here to monitor it. Like I said, not really a feature that I utilize. I always stay out and utilize my turkey. This one has a push button fire switch, so the gas will come out. You light it through this hole here at the bottom with a lighter. Standard tank. This one's actually a little bit bigger than the standard tank, but it's neither here nor there. You also have a little thermometer. Some people use the infrared. That's worked fine to me. Again, I have it set with a little marker of 350, so I know what temperature I'm aiming for, shooting for. Placement of that is typically crucial once you put the turkey in. You want to make sure it's not stabbing into the turkey. That way you're not getting an inaccurate reading of temperature. You want to make sure it's in the oil. What you'll notice before we start and when I put the turkey in, I always shut the fire off. One of the biggest things that people comment on when frying a turkey is a potential danger of a fire from the grease popping and catching fire. What I always do, I shut it off. I shut the system off. Not 100%, you know, turning everything off here, but I just shut it off here so it doesn't flow out anymore. There's no more fire, no more gas flow. I put the turkey in, put the cover on top, which you have here. Put the cover on top, fire it back up. That loss of fire on that is not going to make a difference. After doing probably about 60 to 70 turkeys, never had a problem, never had a flare up, never had an issue. Always, you know, worry about popping and things like that. So if you wear a long sleeve shirt, you wear like a cooking mitt or cooking glove. That's what a lot of people do, is when the grease may pop up, they drop the turkey in. Don't ever do that. That's one sure way to get yourself injured. Also, make sure your turkey is fully defrosted. That was something that we did yesterday. You can't inject a turkey that's frozen. So make sure your turkey is fully defrosted. You've taken all the giblets out and all the things that come in the inside before you start frying. But again, this is it. We'll light this up in a second and get it going. Alright, so what we've done, again, we've got our fire up to 350. I've taken the turkey, and again you can see that we put the mustard on it. It's ready to go. As I said before, the oil is up to 350 degrees. As you can hear, I've shut the fryer off because we want to make sure that it is not going to fire up on us. Make sure that we're not going to have any splash ups and things like that. You'll hear it start to sizzle and pop. That's normal. Again, you don't want to drop it in there. You want to ease it in. If you drop it in there, it is going to splash up. It is going to pop. You could burn yourself. You could knock it over. Again, very simple, very easy. Take your lid, throw that back on. Put your thermometer in there again, making sure that you don't puncture the turkey itself. And then you can fire it back up, which is very, very simple. Again, you'll notice that the temperature reading is below 350 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and let it get back to 350. If it extends above a little bit above 350, we can come back over here and just turn this down and adjust the fire. Alright, so as you can see, we're about 10 minutes in, and the oil has just about hit the 350 mark. So it does take a little bit of time for it to get back up to the temperature it needs to be. I haven't adjusted anything on it. Probably as it gets a little bit above 350, I will cut it down. That way we know that as I cut it down, it will stay at 350 a little bit longer, and then we can go ahead and shut the fire down. Not shut it down, but turn it down a little bit. Once it gets below 350, we'll crank it back up. It's really just a game of adjustments. I'll let you peek in on it and see what it looks like. Smell is amazing. As you can see, it's getting brown on the top already. Again, cook it all the way through. Again, just a game of adjustments, making sure that you have the right temperature as best you can, making sure that you cut the fire back a little bit if you would need to. So it is just at 350 now. It's actually extended a little bit over 350. I'll go ahead and cut this down a little bit, and you can kind of hear that. Whenever I do cut the flow down, the fire in there, I typically like to get it to where it's not, you know, the jet sound that it normally has, but it is a bit of ease with the fire that's hitting it. Again, this thermometer, the timer, I always keep turning that just to make sure that I'm not losing or ever walk away and it shuts down completely. Again, you can see it's probably just a hair or two over 350. That'll start to come down since that fire is not raging, and we'll check it again in a bit. Alright, so we got about 30 seconds left, actually probably a bit less than that. Temperature has stayed pretty much at 350 degrees for the entirety of this, so I think I just kind of hit the sweet spot on the fire. I had to adjust it here and there a couple times, but other than that, it's pretty good. So as soon as the timer goes off, which there it is, go ahead and shut this down and pull this bird out. So with this, again, just using this little tool that comes with it, pull that off of there. And then you'll see that this thing is pretty much golden and done. And just let the oil drain off of it a little bit more. Put it in our pan and bring it inside, and we'll cut it up. Oh, hush hush. I know you want some. And again, this is a 15-pound turkey. Cooked for about 52.5 minutes at 350 degrees. Again, 350 degrees is what you shoot for, 3.5 minutes per pound. Put it in there.